Welcome to MegaBucks Radio. Conversations with successful entrepreneurs, sharing their tips and strategies for success. Real-world ideas that can put MegaBucks in your bank account. Here's your host, Nina Hershberger.
Wonderful.
Well, welcome back. This is the third week in a series with Graves Burke about how to monetize your Facebook group. In week number 1, he told us about how to find the groups, how to look for them, and what problems could you solve. Last week, he talked about how to start a conversation, a relationship, a mini kind of thing with the admin and begin to flush out some of those problems. So this week, Graves, we are now in the money. This is the part that I'm very, we've got to do all the other stuff. But let's get going. So what do we do next?
Yeah, so we now have a relationship with the admin. And if you remember from last week, we said one of the admin's biggest problems is they're always having to create content and solve problems for their members. And that can get exhausting. So if somebody comes up and says, hey, May, I love your tablescaping group. It's amazing. I'm so grateful that I stumbled across it. I may be able to solve your problem for you, and that solves problems for your people. Is that something you might be interested in? Now we can start the relationship. And now May is willing to hand over her asset to us because her group is an asset. And she's willing to let us come in there and solve problems for her members. Now, there's a couple different ways to do it, right? So you have your main group, like this 26,000 person tablescaping group. If all you do is go in there and start pitching products, China patterns, stemware, silver flatware, place settings, all of these kinds of things, training courses, you're going to burn the group out. They're going to go, this isn't the same group. What the heck? So we need a solution that allows us to sell to these people without burning the group out, right? One of the reasons email open rates are so bad is because all email ever does, people just message them saying, buy my product, buy my product. There's no real relationship building. When somebody does really good relationship building, you tend to open those emails up, right? The same thing happens with groups. So before we talk about how to sell stuff, what I want to talk about is what to sell real quick, just because I see people get this wrong. No, it's not wrong. Gosh, that's really harsh of me to say. I'm just being a jerk today. I see people go a very particular route. And the usual route is large group, low cost product. And the big ones are usually print on demand type products. And what that means is there might be coffee mugs or bumper stickers or t-shirts or hats. And all of those products are really pretty inexpensive, $20, $30 or less. The problem with that is if you're coming in and offering to do that for May in her tablescaping group, sure, you can sell a mug that says, my other mug is a China pattern from 1922 or whatever, right? Like something that people will latch on to and want, but you got to sell a lot of those. And the only way to sell a lot of something is to really kind of hammer your group. So I like to take the other stance where I'm the investor and I look for high-end product or services that I can bring in. And so I just wanted to preface that before we dive into the actual monetization stuff. Can you do the low-end stuff? Absolutely. You totally can. But I suggest looking for training programs or exclusive products where the price point is higher end, because you don't have to sell as many of them to make May money. And all we're trying to do is make May some money once. Because as soon as she sees, holy cow, Nina just ran this small little promo to my people, and we made an extra $2,000, an extra $5,000. Holy cow, I would love to do that once a month. Right?
Makes perfect sense, yeah.
Yeah. So how do you sell without burning out the group? That's the biggest way. It goes back to direct mail and direct response marketing. It even goes back to email. You want to segment out the list. Once we know what the problem is, and once we have a solution that we know is a good solution to whatever the problem is. I know I'm being really vague. The reason why I'm being vague is because the solution is dependent slightly on the problem, right? So let's say it was a training program. I did a little bit of research, and I believe it was on Udemy, however you pronounce it. It was either on Udemy or it was on Coursera or something like that. I think it was the former. There was a whole information product that somebody has all on table scooping.
You're kidding.
No, I was so excited when I saw that. So we can be the middle person that connects that product with May, the admin of this tablescaping group. So we can go out to that product owner and say, hey, I've got distribution. I've got a whole group of people that might be interested in what you have. If I could sell some of it, would you be interested in that? Right? And then we can go to May and we can say, hey, May, I've got this really good product that solves this problem. I've got a really cool way for us to not burn out your list or your group. Would you be interested in that? And we're just putting those two people together. We've got one person with a product. We've got one person with distribution. And we come in and say, we'll handle everything. Would you like us to do that for you? And the way to do that without burning out the group, because if you just are posting in the group, hammering the group with buy my stuff, you're going to burn the group out. Not only that, but if it's a really popular group, what happens with really popular groups, if there's 10 posts a day, 20 posts a day, some groups have 100 posts a day. Your one post that day that says, do you want to buy this thing, gets ignored because it gets pushed down because the group is so active. So the way around it is to create posts that clone people out of the group and bring them into another subgroup all around solving that problem. And May can still own the group if she wants, or she might be, I've had it where people are okay with me owning the group, and I just cut May a check I'm not working with May, full disclosure, but for somebody like May, where I just cut them a check on the 1st and the 15th. They're just cashing checks, and I'm finding all the product, and I'm doing all the sales and marketing. Her group stays pristine, and just every now and then we drop a little post in the group, and sometimes it comes from May, sometimes it can come from me. It's better if it comes from May, where she says, hey, I know this guy who's got this thing, and it solves this problem. If you're interested, click here to join his group. And so we're pulling them out of the group. And out of a group of 26,000, if you've got a really good problem, you might be able to get 200, 300, 400, 500 people into the other group. And the other group then becomes the group that's all about selling. So you don't have to burn out her main group. And because it's a high-end product, you don't have to make a ton of sales. Is it okay if I give an example of this? It might help.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm sitting here thinking, what's your definition of a high-end product?
Yeah, if it's coaching or consulting or a mastermind, those are ideal. Masterminds are ideal because now you can make a sale and you've got recurring revenue for the lifetime of the mastermind, right? High end, depending on how you work, 500 is usually my limit in terms of low end, but mainly because I'm going to try to see if I can take that $500 thing and make it $1,000 or a $2,000 thing just by re-angling the problem we're solving and by driving it around reputation and identity, right? So when you and I chatted about the tablescaping, some of those patterns are super exclusive. So if you can go to the company and in Magic, there was a deck of playing cards called Jerry's Nuggets. And they were a playing card that stopped production in the 70s. They never actually made it into circulation. And all these magicians coveted these decks of cards. A single deck of cards would go for $100 on eBay. So if you sold a brick of 12, that could go for as much as $1,200. So imagine if you found 5 bricks and that was a whole reputation play. I've got a deck, by the way, from the mid 90s. I got them. I didn't have to pay $100 for it. But if you found 5 of them in a back warehouse or whatever, and now you're selling these bricks of cards for $1,200, that becomes a reputation play and an identity play to those magicians. The same thing is totally possible in tablescaping. If there's some exclusive pattern and you find 2 or 3 of them, you could bring them into a separate group and you could run an auction for those. You don't have to bring them into eBay. Run an auction in the group, or just sell them for high end. So I don't know the price point of normal settings for China patterns for tablescaping, but when you bring it in as a play of reputation, and that's where the price elasticity lives. And price elasticity is just a fancy way of saying, how can we ethically and morally charge more for what we have? The 2 biggest ways to do that are to appeal to the buyer's reputation and identity. And there's 2 companies that are really good at this. One is Nike, and the other is Apple. Nike has a huge reseller market on their Jordans. Not only that, but there's a whole collab between Off-White, which is a high-end designer, and Nike, and his Jordans that are Off-White brand go for 10 times more than regular Jordans do. Are they 10 times more because they use materials that are 10 times more expensive? No. They're 10 times more because they appeal to the reputation of the wearer and the identity of the wearer or buyer. Some of these shoes they never even wear. They just buy them, keep them in a box in the closet, knowing the price is going to go up 12 months from now. So that's the biggest thing to think about. I look at product or service and say, how can I make it even more valuable just by using my marketing skills and make it even more about reputation and identity? And that's how I can take a $500 product and make it a $1,000 product, or $1,000 coaching and turn it into a $3,000 coaching. And now somebody like May or somebody like the program designer is making even more money by having me come in and do all the sales for them. And both parties just collect checks, and I'm doing all the hard work. And that's what we call shoot. What was his name? Mark Joyner wrote the book, An Irresistible Offer, right?
Yeah. Give us a real live example. You don't have to tell us the person or anything like that, but just something that you really have done.
So I've got a partner, right? I call him a client sometimes still, but we're partners. We're partners in this aspect of the business. And they had a product, and their product was low end for me. It was $250, and they're in the CBD space, which is a space I don't normally work in just because there's a lot of regulations federally and state. The regulations are always changing, and it's a very lucrative industry. There's a lot of people making a lot of money, but this was a really cool product that was helping a lot of people, and it's a $250 product. And so we created a brand new offer, and the brand new offer was the same product, but we started solving other problems that those people that bought the product have. One of the things that they're really worried about is pain. And so we created a private group, and this group is on Facebook, a private group that's exclusive. It's a VIP group only for people that have not bought one of the product, but two of the product. That's the only way you can get into the VIP group, is if you buy two of them. And so we then have a distribution network. Now, the reason why I partnered with them was because they had a buyer's list. They didn't have a group, but we started cloning them onto Facebook from their email list. Their email list was 10,000 of buyers. So we're cloning them into Facebook, because now we can message them in email and we can message them on Facebook. Now, that's just a regular group of buyers, not the VIP group, right? That's anybody that's bought a product or something related to that product. 10,000 is a great start. But the thing that I really liked was that they were adding about 500 new buyers every week. So I said, why don't you let me market to those buyers, the 500 new ones every week, and I'll do your direct mail to them. Because they're like, they're not doing any direct mail. All they're doing is email. I said, I'll use direct mail, and when they buy, a big part of that repurchase of the second item is that they get access to this VIP group. And the VIP group has experts that are teaching stretching for back and neck, meditation for pain relief, yoga experts. So that's all around the pain. We also have another subset in that group. One of the things they like is about sensory. The two big sensory items are food and music, right? So we have DJs that come in and do private DJ sets. So that was perfect with COVID, because we could just do it over Zoom. And the only people that get access to it are these VIP members, right? We've also got chefs that'll come in and teach how to cook with CBD, right? And we've got the distribution. There's programs that are teaching how to cook with how to make edibles and stuff like that. And again, that's not an industry I'm usually in. It was just a really cool thing. So we created this whole VIP group that's almost like this mini mastermind where people can come in. Oh, we also found a sommelier, but for CBD products. And they'll come in and talk about various strains and various, I can never pronounce it right, cannabinoids. And because of this product, it's almost like wine. I don't know if you drink wine at all.
Yeah, I am not a wine drinker, but it's okay.
Yeah. These different strains have different flavor profiles to them, and when you use this product, you actually can taste evidently the different flavor profiles. I read a quote. This is what sold me on getting the sommelier. I read a review. It was on Reddit where somebody said, "Holy cow, this product is amazing. I got I'm going to make this up. It was like I got the Lucky Charms strain, and it actually tasted like Lucky Charms, not the burnt cardboard box Lucky Charms would come in." Right? Now, that's a pretty darn good testimonial. And so we have all of these special things that these VIP members get. And so we were able to double the price of their product by giving access to something that doesn't take any more work for that company to put on. They just have to be the middle person that organizes, because they've got the distribution channel. And now they've doubled the price and it's to people that have already bought one. We only sell that VIP offer to people that have already bought one, and they're buying a second one, and they're buying access to that VIP group. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
It was a lot. Okay.
So, Graves, let me ask you. So, if we go back to the quilting and the fishing and all of that kind of stuff, can you work with companies and there's significant money coming? The industry you were talking about, I could see. I could, I don't know how to do it, but I could go down that path and see it. But if you're a fisherman and you love fishing and you've done your research and you found this group, is there really money to be had in even some of these other kind of groups?
Absolutely. So I've actually consulted with a couple different fishing companies where we created high-end consulting packages or experiential packages, I should say, onto the back end of their fishing. And we've done it and that was when I was in the front end agency stuff. Now I don't do that creation anymore. But so take fishing. There's live fishing events that people that produce lures can put on, or people that produce fishing rods can put on, where you put a group of guys together and you could do it as, so there's a couple different identity and reputation plays. One is guys doing a fishing trip they're all married and they're kind of that 45 years old, maybe even 50, and they're wanting to get away. And it's the equivalent of the man cave, but they're going and doing fishing together. And it's a group of guys that have been friends since high school or college, usually. And so they're all, I don't like framing it this way. They like it being this way. They're getting away from their family and their work and their kiddos. They're not bad guys. They just need a break, and that gives them an excuse to go do the thing they love together, right? The other
we could go back to my tablescaping, because you're absolutely right. Just something, I know I've seen it in that group. Whoa, we ought to really get together. Homer Laughlin is a brand. They make Fiesta wear, and they have factory tours. So that's kind of what you're saying. Yep. Is some sort of little group something.
Absolutely. So a factory tour of the production would be massive for those people that are into it, because a lot of times when people get really into it, they want to see things like, and those factories will often have, here's the line from 1912, and here's the line we did in 1923, and here's the line we did post-World War II, right? And they want to see the history of that, and they want their pictures with that. So, yeah, you could totally set up small, very intimate, experiential events like that are high end. We do that all the time with like supplement companies. You can bring people out. So I just recently moved, but I lived in LA about 5 miles from Venice Beach. Well, one of the things any fitness person could do is say, we're going to take you out and we'll set up a tour. We're going to tour Muscle Beach. We're going to tour Venice Gold's Gym, right? Because I used to work out at that Venice. I'm skinny, so you wouldn't know it, but I used to work out at that Venice Gold's Gym, and that's where you'd see Arnold would work out there, and Lou Ferrigno would work out there. And in the same day, I saw Molly Ringwald and Tim Meadows and Ray Liotta. So you see these Hollywood celebrities working out there. I saw Magic Johnson working out there one morning, right? So, like, you could totally set up tours like that where you can create a really high-end experience. You would want to have more knowledge about it. Not everybody could go do that, right? Like Joe Schmo that doesn't have any knowledge about the industry probably shouldn't do that, but you could partner with an expert and work together to sell something like that for sure.
Wow, you have gotten my wheels turning, and hopefully the people that have been listening to this series of 3, thank you, Graves, have been inspired. Just because, I think that during this pandemic, the one of the biggest things that I have always been sad about is these local businesses who think they're in the business of doing whatever and not realizing there's so many opportunities. And this is one that's just kind of laying in front of people that I never knew how to do it, and certainly you are the expert on it. So I appreciate it. We are at the end of radio podcast number 3. If you haven't listened to number 1 and number 2, please be sure to do that. I am going to get all 3 of these transcribed. You'll have an opportunity to be able to get that because you'll want to refer back to this. I was writing as fast as I could, but I know I missed a lot. So, Graves, if somebody wants to work with you, if somebody wants to hire you, if somebody wants to partner, whatever it is you call it, with you and have you help them or do it for them and they just get the checks. Give your email again on this one.
Yeah. So the best email for me is Graves, Graves at double DOUBLE lift LIFT media media.com. That's Graves at doubleliftmedia.com.
Well, it has been truly a pleasure. You are a wealth of knowledge and so generous to give all of that. It's amazing, and I look forward to watching you. I look forward to even partnering with you. Maybe we ought to partner with the Tablescape. And so again, this is Nina Hershberger. We're signing off. Thank you for being here, and remember, go look for those Facebook groups because you never know. It's time to monetize.
Thank you for listening to MegaBucks Radio with Nina Hershberger. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or to listen to past episodes, visit MegaBucksRadio.com.